The outpost sat at the edge of known space, far from trade lanes and far from comfort. It was built from metal plates and old designs, meant to last, not to look good. Most beings who served there felt forgotten. Human Corporal Elias Rowan had felt that way since the day he arrived. Elias was not a loud man. He did his duty, followed orders, and spoke only when needed. That was why the accusation surprised him. He had refused an order earlier that day, an order to move a sealed cargo pod without asking questions. He had noticed heat signs inside. Living heat signs. When he asked for clarification, his superior told him not to ask again. Elias asked anyway. By evening, he was standing in front of the command office, hands behind his back, face calm but tense. The punishment came quickly and without discussion. "Overnight confinement," the commander said. "Old supply cabin. No comms. You'll think about obedience." Elias did not argue. He nodded once and turned away. The guards escorted him across the landing yard as the artificial sky dimmed into night mode. Wind howled between buildings. The cabin stood alone at the edge of the outpost, half buried in dust and ice. It had once been used for storage. Now it was mostly forgotten, like many things on the frontier. The door slid open with a loud groan. The guards pushed him inside and sealed it without a word. Darkness filled the space, broken only by a single flickering light panel on the wall. The air was cold. Elias exhaled slowly and looked around. Then he froze. In the far corner, pressed against the wall, was a small figure. At first, he thought it was a child. Then he noticed the shape of her limbs, the faint shimmer of scales under thin fabric, and the way her eyes reflected the light, too large, too deep. An alien girl. She made no sound. She simply watched him, her body tight with fear, as if expecting pain at any moment. Elias slowly raised his hands, palms open, and took a careful step back. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The translator on his collar buzzed faintly, trying to find a match. The girl's eyes widened, but she did not move. He scanned the cabin. There were no restraints, no cages, just her. Abandoned, left behind like broken equipment. Elias felt something heavy settle in his chest. He sat down slowly on the floor, keeping distance between them. He unhooked his jacket and wrapped it around his shoulders, then placed his canteen on the ground between them and pushed it gently forward. "Water," he said. "For you." The girl stared at the canteen as if it might explode. Minutes passed. The cabin creaked in the wind. Finally, she reached out with shaking fingers and pulled it toward herself. She sniffed it first, then took a small sip. Her shoulders relaxed just a little. Elias did not smile. He did not move closer. He simply waited. Time passed slowly. The cold crept deeper into the cabin. Elias noticed the girl shivering. Her clothes were thin, clearly not meant for human climates. Without standing, he slid his jacket across the floor toward her. "You can use it," he said. "I'll be fine." She hesitated, then pulled it around herself. The fabric swallowed her small frame.
For the first time, she spoke. "Human?" she asked, voice weak and uncertain.
"Yes," Elias replied. "My name is Elias." The translator crackled again, then steadied.
"I am Lyra," she said. "They said you would eat me." The words hit him harder than any accusation. "No," he said firmly.
"Humans don't do that." She studied his face, searching for lies. Whatever she saw there made her look away, confused.
"They locked you here too?" she asked. "Yes," he said, but only for the night. Lyra's fingers tightened in the jacket. "I have been here many nights." Elias closed his eyes for a brief moment. "Why?" he asked. She hesitated, then spoke slowly, as if each word hurt. My people lost the war. We lost our value. I was extra, unneeded, disposable. Elias felt anger rise, sharp and quiet.
They said someone might take me, she continued.
No one did. Then they stopped coming. Outside, the wind roared louder, rattling the cabin walls. Elias stood and moved to the corner opposite her, sitting down again so they were level. You're not extra, he said.
Not to me.
Her eyes filled with something close to tears, but she blinked them away.
Why are you kind?
She asked. Humans are strong. Strong ones do not need to be kind. He thought about that for a moment. We learned the hard way, he said. Strength without kindness destroys itself. Lyra listened carefully, as if storing every word. Hours passed. The light panel dimmed further. Elias shared small stories. About Earth skies, about rain, about cities full of noise and life. Lyra told him about her homeworld, once bright and full of song, now silent. At some point she fell asleep, wrapped in his jacket, curled against the wall. Elias stayed awake. He watched the door. He listened to the wind. He thought about the order he had refused, about the heat signs in the cargo pod, about how easily beings were thrown away when they stopped being useful. When morning light finally filtered through the cracked panel, something inside him had changed. The door slid open with a sharp sound.
Guards stood outside. "Time's up," one of them said.
Elias stood. He looked back at Lyra, still asleep, breathing softly. For the first time since joining the service, Elias Rowan did not step forward when ordered. I'm not leaving her, he said. The guard stared at him in shock, and in that quiet, broken cabin, a choice was made that would echo far beyond the outpost. The guards did not move at first. They stood in the open doorway, morning light behind them, eyes fixed on the human who refused to step out. Elias felt the cold air rush into the cabin, but he did not turn away from Lyra. She stirred slightly at the sound, her small body tightening in sleep. Corporal, one guard said slowly, step outside. Now, Elias shook his head. Not without her, the second guard laughed, uneasy and sharp. She's not your concern. She's classified abandoned property.
Elias felt his jaw tighten. She's a living being. The word property echoed in the small space like something dirty.
Lyra's eyes opened. She looked from the guards to Elias. Fear returning fast. She pulled the jacket tighter around herself and shrank back against the wall. They will take me away, she whispered. Elias turned slightly toward her, keeping his voice calm. Not if I can help it. The guards exchanged looks. One of them tapped his wrist unit. Command, we've got a problem. Minutes passed. No one moved. Finally, a new voice came through the unit, cold and controlled. Corporal Rowan. Step outside the cabin.
The alien remains? Elias took a slow breath.
With respect, sir, I refuse. Silence followed. Heavy silence.
State your reason, the voice said. She was abandoned, Elias replied.
Left to die. That violates interspecies conduct laws.
And basic decency. Another pause. The wind howled across the landing yard. Your concern is noted, the voice said at last. Stand by. The channel cut. The guard stepped back slightly, unsure. The door remained open, but no one forced the issue. Lyra looked up at Elias, her eyes wide. They will punish you? Maybe, he said. But I can live with that. She studied him in silence. Slowly, she stood and walked closer, stopping just short of him. No one has done this, she said. Not for me. Elias met her gaze. That doesn't mean it shouldn't have happened. Hours passed again. The sun climbed higher, but no new orders came. Food was delivered to the guards, not to the cabin. Elias shared his ration bar with Lyra, breaking it into small pieces. She ate carefully, as if afraid it would be taken away. As the day wore on, whispers spread across the outpost. Humans talked. Some aliens watched from a distance. A human refusing orders for an abandoned alien girl was not normal behavior. By evening, Command sent a mediator. A tall alien with silver skin and calm eyes approached the cabin, hands visible, voice smooth. I am Overseer Kale, the alien said. I wish to speak. Elias stepped forward, still blocking the entrance slightly. Go ahead. Kale looked past him at Lyra. This one belongs to no registered faction. She belongs to herself, Elias said. Kale tilted his head. Interesting belief. Her species was declared extinct for political purposes. Lyra flinched at the word extinct. Elias felt a spark of anger. She's standing right there. Yes, Kale said calmly.
An inconvenience to paperwork. Elias laughed once, bitter. That's all people are to you. Kale did not answer directly.
Why do you care, human? Elias looked down at Lyra, then back at Kale. Because someone should have cared before. Kale studied him for a long moment.
You are aware this choice may end your career? Then so be it.
Another silence stretched between them. Finally, Kale nodded once. She will remain here tonight, he said. Further review will come tomorrow. The guard sealed the cabin again. Darkness returned. Lyra sank to the floor, her legs giving out. I thought they would take me. They might still try, Elias said honestly, but not without a fight. She looked at him, confusion mixing with something warmer. Why do humans fight for strangers? Elias sat beside her, not touching, but close. Because once, we were strangers too, alone, weak. And if we didn't fight for each other, we wouldn't be here. She listened closely, her tail curling slightly around her legs. That night, she told him more. About how her people could sense emotions faintly, how abandonment felt like physical pain, about how she was hidden because her bloodline still mattered, even if no one wanted to admit it. Elias listened without interrupting. At some point, she placed a small, glowing stone in his hand. This was mine. From home. He closed his fingers around it carefully. Thank you. When sleep came, it came gently. Lyra slept closer this time, no wall between them. Morning arrived again. This time, the door opened to a different sight. A human officer stood outside, flanked by others. His expression was serious but not hostile. Corporal Rowan, he said.
You've made a mess. Yes, sir, Elias replied.
The officer glanced at Lyra, then back at Elias. And you've made a point. He stepped aside. Bring her. We're going to talk. Lyra froze. Elias placed himself between her and the door without thinking. She comes willingly, he said. The officer nodded.
That's fair. Lyra looked up at Elias. If I go, will you stay? Elias answered without hesitation.
I'm not going anywhere. Together, they stepped out of the cabin. The wind felt different this time. Less cold, less empty. And somewhere deep within the outpost systems, a simple truth began to spread. Humans did not abandon the forgotten. They were taken through the main corridor of the outpost, past staring eyes and quiet voices. Humans paused in their work. Aliens from many species watched with open curiosity. A human soldier walking beside an abandoned alien girl was not something anyone expected to see. Lyra stayed close to Elias. She did not hold his hand, but her steps matched his, careful and fast. Every sound made her flinch. Elias noticed and slowed his pace. "It's all right," he said softly. "No one will touch you." She nodded, trusting him without fully understanding why. They entered a meeting chamber built for negotiations, not justice. The room was wide and cold, with a long table in the center. Symbols of different factions floated as holograms above it. Several figures were already there: human officers, alien officials, and Overseer Kale, standing calm as ever. Elias and Lyra were told to stand at the center. "State your name and rank," a senior human officer said. "Corporal Elias Rowan," he replied. The officer nodded, then looked at Lyra. "And you?" She hesitated. The translator buzzed. "Lyra..." She said quietly. A murmur spread through the room. "That species was declared non-participating," an alien delegate said sharply. "They surrendered all claims." "They surrendered under force," Elias said. "That doesn't erase her existence." The delegate's eyes narrowed. "You speak out of turn, human." Elias did not back down. "Then punish me later." "Right now, she deserves to be heard." Silence followed. Then, surprisingly, the human officer raised a hand. "Let him speak," he said. Elias took a breath. She was locked in a cabin and left there. No care, no food, no review. That breaks both human and interspecies law. Kael tilted his head slightly. "The law speaks of recognized persons." Lyra's shoulders slumped. Elias felt it immediately. "She is a person," he said firmly. "Recognized or not," one of the human legal advisors leaned forward. "There is a clause," she said. "Any sentient being under human jurisdiction cannot be denied basic protection." The alien delegates exchanged looks. That clause was meant for emergencies, one argued.
"This is an emergency," Elias said. "She was going to die." The room grew tense.
Lyra looked around, overwhelmed. She felt small again, like she did in the cabin before Elias arrived. She spoke before fear could stop her. "I did not choose to be left," she said. "I did nothing wrong." Her voice was soft, but the room heard her. "I waited," she continued. "Every day. I thought maybe someone would come." They did not. Only the human stayed. She looked at Elias, her eyes shining. He did not ask what I could give. He just stayed. Something shifted in the room. Not agreement, but discomfort. A human commander cleared his throat. "Corporal Rowan, are you requesting guardianship?" Elias blinked. "Yes, sir," Lyra gasped softly. "Do you understand what that means?" the commander asked. "Responsibility, oversight, transfer limitations." "I understand," Elias said. "I accept." Kale stepped forward. "This is highly irregular. So is abandoning a child," Elias replied. Lyra looked between them, heart pounding. "If I am trouble," she said quietly, "I can go back." Elias turned to her immediately. "Now, you're not trouble." The commander studied both of them carefully. "Temporary guardianship may be granted while an investigation proceeds." The alien delegates protested. Voices rose. Arguments filled the air. Then the commander raised his voice. "Enough. The human position is clear." He turned to Elias. "For now, she is under your protection. If you fail her, this ends." Elias nodded. I won't. The decision was not a victory, but it was not a loss. They were escorted out together. As the doors closed behind them, Lyra's legs gave out. Elias caught her before she fell. For the first time, she did not pull away.
I thought they would send me back, she whispered.
They won't, he said. Not today. They were given temporary quarters, small, but warm. Real beds. Food that did not come from ration packs. Lyra stood in the doorway, unsure if she was allowed inside. This is yours too, Elias said. She stepped in slowly, touching the wall, the bed, the light panel. I've never had a room, she said. Elias smiled, gently. Everyone should. That evening, news spread beyond the outpost. Reports moved through human channels. Questions were asked. Support messages came in from soldiers who had seen similar things and stayed silent. Not this time. Lyra sat on the bed, holding the glowing stone she had given Elias. He sat across from her, cleaning his gear out of habit. Why did you choose me? She asked suddenly. He looked up. I didn't choose you. I chose not to walk away. She considered that carefully. On my world, she said. Those who walked away were forgiven. Those who stayed were rare. He nodded. On mine too. That night, Lyra dreamed of open skies instead of locked doors. The next morning brought new challenges. Orders arrived. Elias was placed under review. His future in the military was uncertain. He did not regret it. Lyra watched him from the corner of the room. If they take your uniform, she said, it will be my fault. No, he said firmly. It will be my choice. She moved closer. Slowly, she rested her head against his arm. It was a small thing, but it felt huge. Outside, the outpost continued its routines. Ships landed and departed. Politics moved like cold machinery. But inside one small room, something stronger was forming. Not rescue, not charity, but belonging. And that was something the galaxy had forgotten how to measure. The review did not wait long. 2 days after the hearing, Elias was ordered to report to a larger command chamber. This time, it was not just the outpost leaders. A long-range council link had been opened. Faces appeared in the air. Human admirals, legal officers, and alien representatives from powerful factions. The room felt heavier than before. Lyra was not allowed inside. That part hurt the most. She stood in the corridor, arms wrapped around herself, watching Elias straighten his uniform. Her eyes searched his face, afraid this was the moment she would be left again. I'll be back, Elias said gently, no matter what happens. She nodded, but her tail curled tightly, a sign of fear she could not hide. When the doors closed, Elias stood alone at the center of the chamber. Corporal Rowan, a senior admiral began, your actions have triggered a system-wide review. I understand, sir, Elias said. You disobeyed orders. You challenged interspecies authority. You disrupted protocol. Yes, sir. And yet, the admiral continued, you may have exposed a long-standing abuse. A legal officer spoke next. Records show multiple cases of sentient beings classified as abandoned assets across frontier zones. Your case brought attention where there was silence. An alien delegate leaned forward, eyes sharp. Human sentimentality does not rewrite galactic law. Elias met the delegate's gaze. Then maybe the law needs rewriting? Murmurs spread. That is not your place, the delegate snapped. Maybe not, Elias replied calmly. But it was my place to act. The admiral raised a hand for silence. We are not here to debate philosophy. We are here to decide consequences. The word consequences echoed in Elias's mind. He thought of Lyra, standing alone in the corridor. "We have reviewed the evidence," the Admiral said. "The abandonment was illegal under human jurisdiction. The alien girl should never have been left without protection." Elias exhaled slowly. "However," the Admiral continued, "your refusal to follow orders cannot be ignored." "I accept responsibility." The Admiral studied him carefully. "You will be removed from active duty pending reassignment." The words hit hard, but Elias did not flinch. "Additionally," the Admiral said, "temporary guardianship of the Aishari girl will be extended under human protection." Elias looked up sharply.
This arrangement will continue until her status is resolved, the Admiral finished. The session ended shortly after.
When the doors opened, Elias stepped back into the corridor. Lyra rushed toward him before the guards could stop her. She stopped just short of touching him, searching his face. "Well?" she asked. He knelt so they were eye level. "They didn't take you away." Her shoulders sagged with relief. "And you? I won't be a soldier for a while," he said honestly. Her eyes widened. "Because of me?" "Because of my choice," he corrected gently. She hesitated, then did something new. She reached out and held his sleeve. "I'm sorry," she whispered. He placed his hand over hers. "Don't be." The outpost changed after that. Humans who had avoided the issue before began speaking openly. Some shared stories of other abandoned beings they had seen on missions. Others admitted they had followed orders because it was easier. Now it wasn't easy anymore. Alien officials became cautious. The word human was being spoken differently, less like a warning, more like a question. Lyra noticed the change too. When they walked through the corridors, some beings looked away. Others nodded. A few even smiled. "Why do they look at us like that?" she asked one evening. "Because sometimes," Elias said, "doing the right thing makes people uncomfortable." They were moved to a civilian habitation wing. It was quieter. There were windows that showed real stars instead of metal walls. Lyra spent long hours watching the stars. "My people believed stars remembered us," she said once. "That when we were gone, they would still know our names." Elias sat beside her. "Then you're not forgotten." She looked at him, eyes soft. "Neither are you." Days turned into weeks. Investigators arrived. They questioned Lyra carefully, gently. For the first time, she was asked what she wanted. The question confused her. "I don't know," she said. "I've never been asked." They gave her time. Elias was offered options. Quiet reassignment, desk work, a chance to disappear without trouble. All required one thing: giving up guardianship. He refused every offer. "I won't trade her safety for my comfort," he said. That answer traveled farther than he knew. One evening, Overseer Kale requested a meeting. The alien stood across from Elias and Lyra in a neutral room. "You have caused disruption," Kale said.
"Yes," Elias replied. Kale looked at Lyra.
"And you have survived when statistics said you would not." Lyra met his gaze without fear. "I survived because someone stayed." Kale was silent for a long moment.
"Human values are inefficient," Kale said finally.
Persistent. Elias raised an eyebrow. "Is that a compliment?" Kale's lips curved slightly. "It may be." Kale left them with a final message. Several factions were now reconsidering abandonment policies, not out of kindness, but caution. That was enough. That night, Lyra had a nightmare. She woke shaking, breath fast, eyes unfocused. Elias sat up instantly. "You're safe," he said, steady and calm. She pressed her forehead against his arm, grounding herself. "They were closing the door again," she whispered. Elias stayed awake until her breathing slowed. In that quiet moment, he understood something clearly. He did not want to go back. Not to the uniform. Not to the life where people were left behind because it was easier. Morning brought a message from High Command. A transport was being prepared. Destination: a human-controlled world. Purpose: resettlement. Lyra read the message twice. Is this good?
Yes, Elias said.
It's a start. She looked at the cabin listed as their last known location in the report, the place where everything had begun.
I thought that place was a punishment, she said softly. So did I.
They packed what little they owned. As they walked toward the hangar, Lyra stopped and looked back at the outpost.
Do you think the galaxy will change? She asked. Elias considered the question.
Maybe not all at once, he said. But it already has a little.
She smiled, a real smile, not careful or afraid. And for the first time since she had been abandoned, Lyra walked forward without looking back. The transport ship lifted away from the outpost without ceremony. No speeches, no crowd. Just engines humming and stars stretching into lines as the ship entered faster. Travel. Elias sat in the small passenger bay, hands resting on his knees, watching Lyra stare out of the viewport. She had never left a station before. The stars outside were not filtered or dimmed. They were sharp and endless. Lyra pressed her fingers lightly against the glass, eyes wide, breath slow and steady.
So many,
she whispered. Elias smiled faintly.
That's just the beginning. The ship was human-built. Simple.
Reliable. No hidden rules. No silent judgments. Lyra noticed the difference quickly. Crew members nodded at her. One offered her a warm drink without asking questions. Another adjusted the lights when she flinched at a sudden brightness. No one called her abandoned. No one ignored her. Halfway through the journey, a message arrived for Elias. He read it twice, then once more, just to be sure. Lyra noticed his stillness. Is something wrong? No, he said slowly. Something changed. The message was brief, but heavy with meaning. The investigation had expanded. Multiple frontier outposts were now under review. The term abandoned asset had been suspended under human jurisdiction. Temporarily at first, but with strong support to make it permanent. One choice. One refusal to walk away. Lyra did not fully understand the message, but she understood Elias's expression. That place, she said carefully. The cabin, it mattered, didn't it? Yes, he said, more than they wanted to admit. The transport arrived at a human-controlled world 3 days later. The planet was green and blue, wrapped in clouds. Oceans reflected sunlight like mirrors. Cities were visible from orbit, but so were forests, wide and alive. Lyra's breath caught. It's loud, she said, sensing the life below even from space. It can be, Elias replied. But it's also kind, if you know where to look. They landed at a civilian port, not a military base. The air smelled different. Clean, wet, full of unfamiliar sounds. Lyra stepped onto solid ground and froze, overwhelmed. Elias stayed beside her, steady and patient. It won't disappear, he said gently. You don't have to hurry. She took one step, then another. They were greeted by a human woman from the resettlement office. Her voice was calm, her movements slow.
Welcome, she said. You're safe here. Safe.
The word settled deep inside Lyra, heavy and warm. The weeks that followed were not easy, but they were real. Lyra attended evaluations, not interrogations. Doctors asked permission before scanning her. Counselors explained things instead of deciding for her. For the first time, she learned what choice felt like. Elias found work quickly, not as a soldier, but as a civilian liaison. His experience mattered. His refusal mattered more. People listened. Some nights he wondered if he missed the uniform. Then he would see Lyra asleep on the couch, tail curled loosely, breathing slow and unafraid. He never missed it then. News from the wider galaxy continued to arrive. Other humans had started asking questions. Other soldiers had started saying no. Small changes, at first, then louder ones. Some alien factions resisted. Others adapted. A few quietly followed. Lyra began attending a shared learning center. She was nervous the first day, clinging to Elias's sleeve before entering. "What if they don't want me there?" she asked. Elias knelt in front of her. "Then it's their loss." She went in.
She came back smiling. They asked me about my stars, she said excitedly.
They wanted to know how my people named them.
Elias felt something tighten in his chest. Something good. Months passed. One afternoon, a message arrived marked priority. Elias read it alone first. Lyra watched him carefully.
Is it bad? No, he said. It's
finished. The investigation was complete. The ruling was clear. Lyra's abandonment had been illegal under multiple laws. Her species status was under full reevaluation. Survivors were being searched for. Protected corridors were being established. And one final line, simple and powerful. Guardianship request approved. Permanent. Elias looked up. Lyra understood before he spoke.
I belong? She asked, voice small but hopeful.
You belong, he said firmly, to yourself. And with me, if you want. She crossed the room in 2 quick steps and hugged him. Not careful, not unsure, just certain. That night they went outside the city, to a quiet hill where the stars were clear. Lyra lay on the grass, pointing at familiar patterns only she could see. "That one," she said. "My mother liked that one." Elias listened. He always listened. Far away, on distant stations and worlds, stories were spreading. Not about weapons, not about wars, but about a human who stayed, a human who chose responsibility over comfort, a human who reminded the galaxy that strength did not mean leaving others behind. Lyra grew stronger with time. Not louder, not harder. Just stronger. She laughed more. She asked questions. She dreamed. One evening, as they watched ships cross the sky, she spoke quietly. "They locked you in that cabin as punishment," she said. "Yes, but you never wanted to leave," she continued. Elias smiled softly. "No, I found something there." She leaned against him. So did I. The galaxy did not change all at once, but it remembered. And sometimes that was enough.